You are watching or listening to Purham and Associates. For more information, go to rpurham.com or follow me on all social media platforms and subscribe at RPURHAM. Thanks. See you over there. Hey, good day to you all. Welcome to the Permanent Associates. I'm your host. You know who I am, I think. I hope. Hey, Merry early Christmas to most of you all, although I'll cover that again in a few minutes. But anyways, I hope y'all are having a fantastic week. It's been a strange week this week. You know, going into the Christmas holidays, you have this mindset of drop everything, stop everything, get ready for the holidays, family's coming, or you're going to visit family and all that. But yet, there's still this idea of, I still have to work, I still have to do stuff. And it's a weird space to be in. And so, you know, we're 48 hours out from Christmas, and so that's still going on. I'm trying to wind down, but it's just nonstop, and so it is what it is. But folks, we got a very special guest with us today, and y'all know who he is. Most of you know who he is. We have Richard C. Lyons. He's the author of The DNA of Democracy, Volume 1, and The Shadows of the Acropolis, Volume 2. He was born and raised in Midwestern United States. His education took him through Loyola Academy and the University of North Texas, and a graduate career at Southern Methodist University. Excuse me, I can't talk today. Lyons has been a lifelong admirer of the written word, which has led him to literary pursuits as a poet, as essayist, and screenwriter. Professionally, Lyons is a third-generation printer whose father dedicated his life to education in the publishing and telecommunication fields. Lyons has been involved in printing and television production throughout his professional career. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing some, presenting to others, Mr. Richard Lyons. Morning, sir. Welcome back.
Good morning, Randy. Good to be back.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here. Give us an update as to what you've been up to lately.
I've been writing some articles. I just wrote an article that will be out concerning Christmas. I hope people look it up and find it. It goes into why we should forget all the BS that goes on in the world, for a day. And remember, why Christ was born and why he lived.
Okay, good deal. Well, where can people find your articles?
At richardclyons.com. I have a website that goes into all the various books and has a contemporary list of articles there.
Okay, awesome. And folks, there you go. So, Rich, there was an article, speaking of articles, there was an article that came out the other day. I don't know if you got a chance to catch it or not, but generally, I know you have a vast knowledge of international affairs, so this should be relatively easy. But NATO's chief there, Mark Rutte, he gave a warning at a conference, not a press conference, but a conference, that Russia is poised to attack one of the allied countries in the next 5 years. I want to get your thoughts on this, because I'm like, I don't see that happening. Number one, NATO consists of 30 countries, ladies and gentlemen, for those that don't know that. And it's an alliance, and they have a pact that's called Article 5. So, and what that essentially means is if one country attacks any of those 30 members, then that's an attack on all of them. So all of them are obligated to do retaliatory, attacks and what have you, or, defend themselves. And so I'm like, yeah, Russia's already struggling with fighting with Ukraine, and that's one small country. I don't see them picking a fight with 30 more in the next 5 years. But I want to get your thoughts on that and see what you say on that.
Well, it's good of you to bring up. It's part of what the conflict with Ukraine now. It's particle to the peace. Is that Russia does not want Ukraine to be a member of NATO.
Right. Yeah.
What is tried by Europe and America is to extend Article 5 securities to Ukraine without making it the headline of the peace agreement. It's something that's understood, something that's in the language, but something that's not pronounced, so that it does not put off Russia. What Article 5 of NATO does, which is very virtuous, is it disallows appeasement. Right?
Yeah.
Obama appeased Putin by allowing him to invade Crimea. Biden appeased Russia by allowing it to invade Ukraine again. So what they're trying to fashion in just this past weekend in Berlin is a territorial agreement that defines what territories Ukraine and what territories Russia has.
Yeah.
And secondly, to extend Article 5 type security agreements with Ukraine, Europe, and the United States, so that if Russia attacks another square foot of agreed upon territory by the peace agreement, the whole of NATO virtually has a right to go after Russia. Now, I agree, I believe in the warning that the NATO member announced, because in Putin you have, and tell me if I'm wrong, you have a tyrant in the last desperate throes of his regime. Mm-hmm. He has failed literally in everything he's tried.
Yeah.
Other than in attacking small countries. Most of Russia does not like Putin. And his persons who oppose him, that are of any strength, like oligarchs and so forth, he throws out of hotel windows, or he poisons them on planes. This is how this guy operates. Mm-hmm. So I think he went into Ukraine thinking, I'm going to reconstruct the glory of Russia, right? And everybody's going to love me again. What desperate tyrants do is they always lash out and takes weaker nations around them to prop up their own popularity. And what it's done is chewed up a million lives, right? And Russia has a capacity for infinite amounts of pain. But it has, hundreds of thousands of young soldiers of this war for very little territory and no ideology. I mean, there's nothing behind it. Mm-hmm. Right? They're not fighting for liberty. They're not fighting for anything, as Americans would have a sense of fighting for something.
Right.
So I agree with the NATO members' suggestion that yes, this guy can lash out and at other states in Europe, like Poland, right, or like Latvia or Finland, right? Mm-hmm. But if he does so, he hasn't got the strength to fight anybody,
right,
other than his nuclear capability, which is very frightening, of course.
That's a great point you make there. That if he does lash out and he sees, okay, I'm at the end of life here, quite proverbially speaking, both as far as a regime, and in life, right, and just life itself, he's at that stage, and so to go out with a bang, quite literally, he could very well start a nuclear conflict per se. with NATO in hopes that his allies, China, Brazil, India, Iran, and North Korea would jump on board. So now you have a totality of a global war at stake going on there, and he's essentially out of the picture. He's like, ha, got you guys. And so I see that could happen, but will these world leaders of these countries, will they fall for that booby trap, in your opinion?
No.
I don't think so.
No, because the idea of nuclear war is mutual assured destruction.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Now, Putin might be standing on his own, yeah, but there are at least some younger generals around Xi Jinping in China, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, isn't it?
Yep.
I believe he's young enough to want another few years of life.
Yeah.
Rather than,
True.
assured destruction.
Yeah. I
So it really is.
It makes sense. Yeah, no, I agree there, and it does make sense. And I look at that and I'm like, if they even, and for ladies and gentlemen, let me back up real quick, and I listed out China, Brazil, Iran, and India, because Russia and those countries, they're part of what's called the BRICS alliance. And although that's a more of an economic cooperation, there are some strategic defense cooperation within in their structure as well. So that's why I listed those particular countries. Not to say that India would be stupid enough to try to go to war with NATO or the United States, but hey, Mondi over there, he blows with the wind, so it is what it is, and I get it. And so but you're right. They are a younger staff of folks, and so they would see that, hey, the longevity of doing something like this is not sustainable, and we're not going to emerge victorious per se.
Yeah, they have, the CCP has become very wealthy and well-to-do based on, American markets. So they have a very nice life. I don't think they want to lose it. Like, it would be like Putin throwing all of China out a hotel window, like he does his opponents.
That's a good point. Yes, that's true. That's true. And speaking of China, I want to get your thoughts on this too. Taiwan was kind of like, to me, and I was writing about this back in college a few years ago, part of my dissertation paper, that the Taiwan conflict with China, I saw that back then as more of a red herring, and that China is not gonna risk it all per se with the United States by invading or trying to annex Taiwan. And I think that my theory has came to fruition, because the talks behind that has quieted down like tremendously. There's a little buzz here and there that Taiwan is beefing up their defenses and whatnot in the event that China does something, but you don't see talks out of Beijing in terms of looking to do anything with Taiwan. So I want to get your thoughts on if that is still a thing, or is that something of the past, or is this they're going to wait it out until Trump leaves office type of thing?
Well, Taiwan historically, and it goes into why Russia went into Ukraine. Ukraine was a part of the glorious past of Russia. It was part of the Russian Empire.
Yeah.
And then it was part of the Soviet Empire, right? So reclaiming Ukraine is bringing back the old glory of Russia. For China, Taiwan was the one that got away. It's where General Chiang Kai-shek, when Mao's communist armies were victorious right? When communism overtook China, the surviving democrat government of Chiang Kai-shek moved to Taiwan. And they've been since. But Taiwan, if you go back to the Chinese empires of the past, their glorious past, Taiwan was a part of every empire. Now, what I was heartened by recently was Trump's trade mission to Asia, because he solidified ties with all the countries around China in a trade agreement with the United States. So that's South Korea, that's Japan, and then he even went and got agreements with Vietnam and so forth. So really is ringed by allies. And when you talk about venturing against Taiwan, you're talking about venturing against South Korea, Japan, the United States, and Australia. All those countries would concern themselves with that.
Yeah.
And against the submarine fleet, United States. Submarine fleet can operate in the Taiwan Strait.
True.
And I don't care how many ships China might send, or troops, our submarine fleet could sink them. And certainly if we gave Taiwan air cover from Japan and South Korea, you know this better than anybody.
Yep.
If you have air cover and then you have a game under the sea, we could do tremendous damage. And not to mention, the moment any such attack would occur, it ends all trade with the United States. It ends all trade with every country the United States has with. So every one of those countries around China that China relies on for markets, it would lose.
Yeah.
So if I'm one of those younger guys around Xi Jinping, like we just talked about in the nuclear eventuality, if I'm one of those younger generals, my life's pretty good. I mean, you're going to do this for Taiwan?
Yeah, that's true.
Why?
Yeah,
I wouldn't. Other than this, fabled glory from 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago.
I agree with you there, Rich, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, and I can understand why most Americans they stay away from foreign policy and foreign affairs, is because it gets very complex and complicated. And you succinctly laid it out with the trade agreements that that President Trump and the United States got into with these the South Asian countries there. And what a lot of people don't probably know about that as well is that these are the same countries, these South Asian countries, they too are in an economic cooperation. They're called ASEAN. And so that co-op is based on economic interests, not only for each other, but as a collective towards other countries. So you're right, and there is also some defense cooperation within that apparatus as well. I believe it's Laos that has the, I guess you could say, the stronger military out of that collective, besides Japan, of course. But they all in all, they're providing the bulk of that type of security. And so, but anyways, that's why it's complex, because they would be in each other's throats as well, but at the same time they recognize, hey, okay, all right, yeah, you said your mama, but let's get this deal done. But and so, but speaking of President Trump, Richard, he gave an address to the nation a couple of days ago in regards to a wide range of things. I'm
going to move out of a light that's coming. The sun is pouring into this window.
Yeah, no worries.
So I'm going to turn you just a little bit here, so I'm out of it a little bit.
I love your office. I have to say, you're giving me inspiration for my next space. So I love that. But President Trump, he gave a wide-ranging press conference. I keep saying press conference, but you should say it was a press conference. It was an address to the nation, and it covered a lot. He talked about a lot of things, and I know it fell on deaf ears for the most part with the media, with the mainstream media. And when I picked it up, because I listened to it, but then I also picked up, of course, the talking heads afterwards. And a lot of it was naysaying, and a lot of it was, well, he was just tooting his own horn most of the time, and it was like, well, he's laying out what him and his administration has done. So of course he's tooting his own horn. You're like, I mean, like, what else did you expect? but in his pseudo, address to the nation, what would you call it? The State of the Union. It was kind of like a pseudo version of it.
Yeah, it was a year-end address.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the State of the Union. It was a year-end address.
Right.
Look at the State of the Union, I think, in January.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said a pseudo one. It was kind of like almost a State.
So he was able to talk about a lot of great things. Yeah,
he was. And I want to get your thoughts on him laying out the.
And he went into.
Go ahead. We got a slight flag.
He started with, of course, the southern border, and when you don't have millions of people coming over the border, so there's two aspects to that. People, well, why are prices so high?
Yeah.
Why is housing so highly priced? Why are rents so high? Why can't I buy a house anymore? When I'm 30 years, it's because literally tens of millions came in here and ate up the housing stock, up the rental stocks, without there being any preparation for adding more housing to the system. So of course prices are high, rents are high, housing's high, energy's high. Everybody, if you have tens of millions more people requiring energy prices are going to go up.
True. Yeah.
At the same time that the Biden administration was doing that, they were putting on all sorts of green energy regulations to literally choke and kill the oil industry in America and the gas industry in America.
Yeah.
So when you do these things, Democrats don't understand the economy. All they want to do is kill it so they can own it.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. So when you attack the energy industry, you're attacking the vital, it's what everything requires. It's the lights on in this office. I need it to read by. I need it to write my books. It's every factory has lights on. Every factory has automatic electric doors that open and close with every shipment. Every truck requires gas. Every store has heat on or air conditioning. All these things cost money, and all that money goes to the cost of every product on a shelf, every product being delivered. It's that simple. That's how basic energy is. Healthcare costs. The energy that it requires to power a hospital, the whole hospital, every room. If energy costs go up like they did 30% in a couple of years, everybody's bill going out of that house 30%. That's what happens when you attack the energy industry. So he talked about closing the border so that there isn't excess demand for housing and rental units. There isn't excess pull on all of our energy resources. And then he goes into the fact that he is decreasing taxation, decreasing regulation, which is a hidden tax on every consumer, right? And these together are, and plus bringing up oil production, gas production, all energy production, is going to reduce price across the board in the economy. They won't go below a certain measure because they can't, right? Once prices are where they are, you can't really get below there. You can't say, okay, we're going to have a 25% permanent discount, right, on goods and services. That's not going to happen.
Right.
But you're going to have at a certain point where the living that persons are making, the money they're taking home from tax reductions and increases in pay are going to outpace the level of inflation going forward. And with less demand on the housing and on the rentals, there's going to be reductions in house prices. If we bring down, again, interest rates, which the very next Fed chair is going to do almost immediately, then you're going to have affordability of housing go back up. People will be able to afford houses again. Thank heaven. So this is all dealing with and it's huge. And then another thing that Trump did was rebalance trade. We just talked about that. All the unfair trade agreements that America has been subject to for decades are now being rebalanced based on tariffs. And it is to the benefit of all Americans.
Yep.
So good. And then law and order. Look at what he did in Washington, D.C. in a matter of weeks. What he's done in Memphis in a matter of weeks. The places where law and order is still not going down is those cities and states that are sanctuary cities and states that are acting in prevention of their own state constitutions, their own city charter, and the federal constitution itself. And they ought to be charged for giving refuge and harbor to criminals. I believe they can be charged for it.
Oh, yes. And, thank you for bringing that up, because Minnesota comes to mind. Minnesota is a criminal state right now with the Somali population. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not targeting Somalis, by any extent, but it is what it is right now, and they are the culprits. And the Somali population in Minnesota,
you are pointing out a group of thieves.
Yeah, they are pirates, quite literally. They're living up to their moniker, and they're still in they
believe in it.
Billions of dollars, billions of dollars allegedly in Minnesota through welfare and nonprofit frauds. And Governor Walz is sitting up there like, oh well, y'all are just making this stuff up. And it's like, you got like over 100 mayors, guy, that are sounding alarms saying that this is true, and they're being Democrats as well. They're like, yeah, this is some BS, and we're not going to go down with this ship. Quite literally, we're just not. So I'm with you. The head of that state, Governor Walz and company, they should go to jail and be prosecuted for this. I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that they have siphoned money and put into their own pockets, and they knew that this fraud was going on. They can't sit here and say, well, it was just a little bit at the time and we just didn't have the resources to deal with that. It's like, hey guy, you can't sit here and say, oh, it was just a little bit, and it was just like no big deal.
No, at the very least, Randy, money that moved from taxpayers through this band of pirates, right? Mm-hmm. That money went back to their political campaigns.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I think they're responsible for that.
Yes.
And I think that's fraudulent money, and so you're literally receiving stolen goods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that too is a crime.
It is. You're absolutely right. And
you're knowingly receiving stolen goods.
Yes, and in the city of Austin, here in Texas, city of Austin, they have the same Ponzi scheme going on.
Isn't that something?
Luckily, Austinites, they woke up to this and said, "Oh hell no, we're not. We're not going to pass this increase in taxes," because they was trying to increase the property taxes by 30% here in Austin. And
my gosh!
And say, oh, this money is going to go to taking care of the homeless, and we're going to create more affordable housing. It's like first off, every nonprofit organization that's listed in the city of Austin books is tied to one of the city council members as their nonprofit. So you can sit here and say that you're bringing you're bringing in money to take care of the homeless, but you're bringing in this money, and we all know that 90 cents of the dollar goes to the pockets of people that run a nonprofit, and we still we still have a high percentage of homeless that don't want help because we have unenforced ordinance here where panhandling all of a sudden is benevolence. So you have the homeless, they will literally make thousands of dollars in a day just standing on the corner and standing in the middle of traffic, quite literally, As soon as the light turns red and you're sitting there in traffic, they come, barrage into the car and ask you for money and everything else. And people sit there and give it to them and thank them and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, stop feeding the animals. You gotta look at this shit like it's the zoo. You cannot bring outside resources to feed the animals. You can't do it. And that's how I look at it. And people get mad at me when I say that, and I'm like, I don't care. But if we stop doing that, that would disincentivize the homeless population from doing that. And now they're going to say, well, okay, those resources are dried up. Let me go somewhere else, or let me do something else. Now I have to become a productive member of society because this line of income isn't coming in anymore. And they're not getting it here. And it's just like, guys, what are we doing? I go to McDonald's. It's right down the street from my house. And I go to McDonald's like more than I should. I'm not gonna lie, more than I should. But it's convenient because I'm always on the road. So I grab double cheeseburger, 20-piece nuggets or something like that, right? But there's always this one homeless guy. He stands. So you got the drive-through window, right? And there's like this cutout, and then there's the door to go inside the restaurant. There's a homeless guy that stands right there by the drive-through window. And he begs people, as you're doing your transaction, you're getting your food and everything else. He'll lean over, hey, you got some change? Hey, can you give me a burger? It's like, no, get your ass. And so, you do that. And I told one of the managers one day at the McDonald's. I said, dude, you do realize this is not only a hazard, but this is illegal. And he was like, yeah, we called the cops and they won't do anything about it. And I'm like, but you could just say,
is he there every day?
Every day, yes, all day. This is like his full-time job. So it's like tell this dude he's trespassing and get off the property. Yeah. Period. And they won't do anything about it. So it's these little things like that. It just drives me crazy. But I'm done venting. It's the holidays. I'm heartless. I'm a Scrooge. I get it. I'm the Grinch. I know. It is what it is. But Rich, talk to us about.
But if he did, you have a point.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me. It's just like some of that stuff is just common sense. And people say, Randy, you should run for city council. I'm like, oh no, you do not want me to be on city council. Y'all think what Trump is doing, the No Kings and the Gestapo, y'all think that's bad. Y'all don't know what I would do. Y'all be like, woo, this dude. I know my place. I'm good. Trust me. You don't want this heat. But anyways, Rich, talk to us about DNA and Democracy. The volume 1. I'm currently reading it. Phenomenal stuff. I love the book. But tell the viewers and listeners about the book, sir.
Well, the DNA of Democracy, Randy, goes into how and why our government was created the way it was by going back in history to all the keystone moments that provided the foundations of our Constitution. So, in fact, I go back to the Israelites' escape from Pharaoh. What did that end up in? It ended up in what you call the Decalogue, or the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments were the first common law of mankind. That, it was common to all people. It was common to the shepherds, common to kings, common to priests. Everybody had to obey the same law. That's very important. Because if you go back a little, how much does Putin obey the laws of Russia? How often does Xi Jinping obey the laws of China?
Yeah.
They don't have to. So having a common law is very important, right? Then I go to Athens and the idea of direct democracy, which we're supposed to have in local town assemblies, where everybody has a voice and a vote, right? In Athens, they had the whole citizenship was there, 10,000 people, to vote over major subjects in a given day. Well, then, when we come to our constitutional republic, you have to consider Rome. Why? Because Rome was so expansive people had to be represented in an assembly. Not everybody could fit into the place, right? There's just too much population. It's not practical. And it also gives way to demagoguery. It gives way to inflations. So if everybody's voting on a certain day in the wake of a certain event, you can vote without giving much time for reason, right? So this is why we have in America, through our Constitution, you have the House, which is many members, many representatives, and a Senate. Fewer representatives that are supposed to slow things down, consider things reasonably, pass laws after introspection, right? And thinking about effects. So all these things are added to in the DNA of democracy through narrative tales. I can give you an example. In the reign of King John, England, there was a woman named Matilda de Bruys, whose husband was in France and he was accused of a crime. And King John's armies went to Matilda de Bruys's castle and said, "You are to hand over your 2 sons to us to be imprisoned by King John until your husband comes back to England." And she refused, and everybody in her castle backed her up. But then King John came with all of his armies against Matilda de Bruys. She had to go on the run through Ireland, over to the Isle of Man, and then over to Scotland to a place called Carrickfergus, where she was ultimately trapped and taken captive. She was taken to what is today Windsor Castle and thrown in the dungeon and starved to death there. Now, what's important? So I go through this whole story. John's tyranny, how she defied him, rebelled against him, ended up getting captured on what was then, the other side of the British Isles, taken to Windsor Castle, where, the Windsors are now, right?
Yep.
Taken into a dungeon there and starved to death with her son William. What did that give birth to? It gave birth to the Magna Carta. All of the nobility were so enraged at what King John did to Matilda de Bruys, they banded against him and created the Magna Carta. It is one of the foundations of liberty throughout the world. Wherever the British Empire went, the Magna Carta is a part of it.
Yeah. And
part of our Constitution, right?
Correct. Yep.
And so that story is very important, and it goes to one of the foundations of America. And so I put it in the book.
Awesome. Yeah, the Magna Carta is a very interesting document, and ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you, if you can find it, read it. It's one of those things that it lays out the foundation of what liberty should look like, and it was quite I don't know, I would say it was almost like you kind of like have to put yourself in that time frame, in that time period when they wrote it, because it made so much sense. It's like, wow, these folks were like beyond their years. It's almost like Thomas Paine and others, throughout history, throughout our revolutionary history, they were beyond their years of wisdom to think of a document, or the writings that they did to say, hey, going forward, you yahoos out there, this is how you should construct your life, because trust me, you don't want this.
Well, what it did.
Yeah.
The DNA of democracy, I put in all the key elements of the Magna Carta and explained why they did what they did. And it was to protect individuals, protect rights, protect rules of commerce. So there was common law applied to commerce, right? And individual property rights, and individual rights to trial by jury. That's a massive step in the career of liberty, which is what the DNA of democracy is. It's the career of liberty among humanity. And it goes right up to 1920. And then I wrote this book, Randy, which is Shadows of the Acropolis. And what this does, it chronicles the last 100 years in our country and how socialism has been slowly growing in our government through the administrative state, and why that's a threat to our constitutional founding principles. It's a threat to the career of liberty. And I go into why that is, why it is utterly, socialism is utterly opposite to our Constitution. And I show how and why, and I literally define it line by line.
Yeah.
So it's an education in the hopes we have in the country we are a part of, and what we have to fight to maintain those hopes.
Yeah, awesome. And the socialism, you have the characters like Zoran Mandami, about to be mayor of New York, Democrat socialist, and New Yorkers elected this guy on the premise that they're going to get all these freebies and they're going to tax the rich and all this good stuff. And it's like okay, guys, after that runs out, then what? Margaret Thatcher said it best. Socialism is great until you run out of other people's money, and they're not thinking about that. They're not thinking about the second and third order effects of that, and it's going to just devolve into mayhem. It's going to devolve to just craziness, and they're going to be stuck holding the bag. For every time you talk about taxing the rich sits back and says, "Bring it." Because we're going to just flip it back on you anyways. You got to buy our products. You got to buy our services, goods, and what have you. We're just going to raise the price. You want to tax me? Just going to raise the price. You're going to pay that price. And I'm just going to still have money. And you're going to be broke. So let's play this game. Sure. I'm there with you. And so people don't get that concept. And it's just crazy to me. And so this socialism. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, socialism, people don't understand. They hear the word socialism, they hear these diluted concepts of it, and they think, you know what, yeah, this is great. We're already practicing some of this anyway, so why not just go all out with it? It's like, stop, pump your brakes. We have a balance. Yes, there are some socialist ideas, there are some socialist mechanisms that we utilize, but we have a balance. And if you throw it out of balance, then you're going to have Venezuela. You're going to have Cuba. You're going to have these third world countries if you throw it out of balance. We have people don't understand that. We have a mixed market, society. So there's a balance there. But to just say, oh, you're going to own no property and you're going to love it. It's like, I doubt that.
You're going to own no property and you're going to love it.
Yeah,
but problem, hold on. Can I explain that?
Sure. Yes.
You said that perfectly. Because they demand that you love it.
Yes, exactly.
You will have no property and you will love it because we demand that you love it. That's what DEI is. Mm-hmm. That's what CRT is. That's what Green New Energy is.
Yeah.
We're going to make you drive an electric car and we're going to make you love it. Mm-hmm. That is what socialism is, and that's the horror of it. Because you have very few people who determine who's going to build electric cars and who's going to make the profits. It's going to be one of their family.
Yeah.
And they get all the money. And you get stuck with an electric car you can't afford. Mm-hmm. And you have to love to drive it because you don't have a choice.
Yep.
It's that or you're walking.
Yep.
That's socialism.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're punching that 10-year-old kid off his bike and taking it. Yeah. So that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen all kinds of crazy things in my life, and I've seen that. I've seen that happen. So, but yeah, to me, I see New York. They're gonna install Mamdani, and I see that he's gonna be proverbially removed from office shortly thereafter. So, I am not gonna give too much credence that that New York is gonna be destroyed per se. But then again, I could be wrong. It could be totally a demise, and we're sitting here. We're going to witness the downfall of New York. I don't know, but it is what it is. But Rich, tell people how they can follow you and support you, sir. This was great. I love the conversation today.
I'm glad. I can be found. All the books can be found on Amazon. You can look up my name or the title of the book, or you can follow me at richardclyons.com, where all my articles are. Either way, I'm findable.
Awesome, sir. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Enjoy the holidays, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Wonderful holiday yourself. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Take care. God bless. Ladies and gentlemen.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Richard C. Lyons. Hey, check out his books. Like I said, I'm currently working on. Folks, I'll be upfront here real quick. But you can check out his book, The DNA of Democracy. This is what the cover looks like. Volume 1. And the other one is The Shadows of Acropolis, Volume 2. I have both books. Volume 2 is currently sitting on my shelf. Volume 1 is on my coffee table. And I was about to say, I'm going to have to be transparent with you all. Every year, I read between 12, upwards to 12 books or so, just depending on what's going on. But this year, I have not. I'm on 12 books right now, or more. Let's see. I got 5 on the coffee table in there. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 plus my, I think I got 2 on my Kindle that I'm working on, and an audiobook. I have been horrible this year. Starting at the start of like April, I stopped reading everything. Oh, and I got 2 on the computer that I'm trying to finish. So that's 14 books, 15, 16. Yeah, I've been horrible. So do not expect to see a recommended reading list for the new year until mid-year. And then, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just been just so busy. Just running campaigns, the politics in Texas right now. Yeah, it's just been just so much. I'm able to sit down and read maybe 1 or 2 pages, and then the phone rings and it turns into an hour, and then it's time to go do this, and yeah, so it's just been crazy. So I apologize, folks. I'm really sorry about that. I hope to once things quiet down in the new year, I can burn through all those books, get a mid-year recommended reading list out maybe, and then pick up and work on some other books and have another one out for 27. Yeah. This year went by quick. But folks, I'm gonna jump up out of here. But before I go, of course I gotta promote myself here a little bit. Not pick up, because it's not out yet. It's not out yet. I need your help to get it out. GiveSendGo.com, Book Project 2025. This is where you could go and donate to support the publication of my next book. It's a heavy lift, and Polarizing America, a dichotomous society. I have a Facebook page for it now too, and what I'm gonna do there is next year, once the book comes out, I'm gonna be doing more like updated articles. So it's gonna be kind of like a living document in a sense. You have the core book, and then I'll write articles and stuff like that, or updates to certain chapters and stuff in that book. And post it on there, Substack and all that good stuff. So I intend to do a lot, in the next year or two, just put stuff out there and help you all grow and be the better you, so I can be the better me. But folks, I'm gonna jump up out of here. I appreciate you all tuning in today. That was a great discussion, great conversation. I love getting into foreign policy, foreign affairs, and stuff like that. And Richard C. Lyons is the guy. He's the go-to guy for that kind of stuff. And so, but pick up the books and check that out, and you actually enjoy DNA of Democracy. Like I said, I'm reading that, and it's a fantastic book so far. All right, folks, I'll catch you all next week. Merry Christmas. Next week, maybe next week. I don't know. If not, Happy New Year. And I will talk to y'all soon. Ciao, ciao. I hope you enjoyed today's program. You can follow, like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Substack, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and your news. And also, you can download Let the Truth Be Told app on your favorite streaming platforms, such as Fire Stick, Apple TV, and Roku. Take care. God bless.